Hi, I'm Lauren Phipps here in the GreenBiz studio with Francisco Ruiz, the Director of IoT for Oracle Real Estate Facilities. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate you having me.
So I want to ask you about IoT. It's a word that gets a lot of buzz in a lot of industries right now. Why is that actually worth paying attention to?
Well, across real estate and facilities, we have so much equipment and things, as they're called, IoT, Internet of Things, that are continuously collecting data of all sorts, whether it be electricity, gas, water, everything that we're trying to become more efficient with respect to our sustainability goals and just being overall efficient and good stewards. So with buildings, typically utilizing so much energy, it's a good starting point where traditionally we've had so many different types of systems in our buildings that have been installed but not necessarily collecting data and information that we can use. And so now with today's push for being a real data-driven operations and just really using that data to become as efficient as we can, that's what IoT is providing us the ability to get data from all of these different devices, and many times have that data and interaction between all of these systems be automated to really help us work smarter and more efficiently.
That makes a lot of sense. And one thing that I hear a lot about is with regards to data, we measure a lot and companies end up with all this data that they don't actually use. So how do you make sure that that's actionable, and if someone's collecting data, that it's actually applied and worth something?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's a challenge that currently, I'm sure you heard a lot about it this week at the conference. It really starts from the top down, and what I mean by that, no matter what size your company is, if you are starting by your own journey of installing IoT and collecting a lot of data, it really has to be from the top down, a successive measure for your engineering teams, anyone who is tasked with looking at this data and actually putting it to use. How do you use it? Because the technology has become ubiquitous, so there's so much data now. The challenge is having people on your staff and resources to actually use that data to become more effective, whether it's your real estate and facilities or it's data centers. There's a lot of principles that go behind it, good energy management principles, and ultimately measuring and verifying that your innovations that you're investing in are actually paying off and delivering. And so it really needs to come from the top down, because it could easily be a nuisance for engineers and folks that are getting inundated with data, and they may have come from a traditional background of working in facilities where they didn't need to look at data and energy use as much and really analyze effectiveness across an entire portfolio. So it's a challenge across the board right now, and really I'm lucky at Oracle. We have support from the top down, starting with our global VP of real estate and facilities. So that's a key starting point and part of our strategy.
That's great. So be specific for a minute. This is all pretty high level. Can you give me an example of how this actually played out?
Sure. At Oracle, we started off with a very pragmatic approach. In the industry, there's a rule that they call the 3-30-300 rule, which references we typically pay $3 per square foot for energy, $30 per square foot for our buildings, and $300 per square foot per person, our occupants. And so we really started with the zero mark, going through and doing things that didn't cost us anything, like Energy Star benchmarking, making sure we understood, hey, what's our starting point, our baseline. Then from there, going into other technologies, sub-metering, to really identify, okay, where are there areas of improvement for us to tackle? And that really hit our $3 per square foot. Then the playing field got a little larger there, and part of our strategy, let's find out how we're utilizing our space. We're installing this technology. We have lighting systems with sensors, they're measuring occupancy. Let's find out, how much we are using our space and start to use that information so it becomes actionable. So we've done that to impact or affect our design, and now we're looking into the experience of our occupants, and that's that 300 rule, which is something much harder to tackle that I think the whole industry is looking at because it requires a lot of information, and that's where IoT and AI play a big part in. So we've done this, across our headquarters campus and achieved some amazing results. Reduction of gas over the years of close to 40%, electricity of about 28%. And it's all started with a lot of those fundamental practices. So at Oracle, we did something that was very exciting, and we built a high school on our corporate campus, our headquarters campus. And part of what was so unique about that and really a true success is our ability to, one, we installed all the technologies we're using to be efficient throughout our campus, but we were also able to share with the students, and frequently do during their intersession, how we have sustainably designed the building, how we sustainably operate it, and overall why we're doing this, and the transparency that comes from it, being able to share the stories with them and why we're doing this across all of our buildings has just been something that never gets old to talk about because we're extremely proud of it. So that's a true success story for Oracle, one of the many, I'd say, and unique challenges and successes that we have at Oracle.
I can see why you'd be proud of that one. Well, thank you so much for joining us in the Green Biz studio and for a great conversation.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.